All right, welcome to a new edition of the Big Blue Report featuring that guy, the two-time Super Bowl champion and former Giants defensive captain and Giants legend, Jonathan Casillas. We also have the professor, the Daddy Mac himself, Ryan Darlington, the professor down there. And I'm Randy Zellea from backsportspage.com. And guys, we're doing a show and we're celebrating a win.
Hey, we got off a
win.
Got off the schneid. How about it?
So I just have to go on record, and JC can validate this. During, I think it was halftime or the beginning of the game, and JC looks at me and he says, if Tyrod wins the game for these boys, we got to have a serious conversation about what's going on with DJ. And I gave JC, and I said, I went over and gave JC a hug, and I said, he's finally seeing the light. Guys, I don't care what anyone says. Tyrod Taylor's contributions the last 2 weeks cannot be ignored. Man, I just got to say this. And then I noticed this from last year from camp. When he throws that football, there's just something different about what he's doing out there compared to what Daniel does. And JC, I will start with you. Is there really going to be a quarterback controversy, or is this one of those situations where we know our role, where once the right people are back in place, they're going back to their normal spots here?
Well, first off, I'll definitely tip my hat to Tyrod. He won a game. You know, it's been a while since the Giants won a game. They got 2 on the season so far. You know, one was a magnificent second half from Daniel Jones against Arizona, and then one was a pretty brilliant performance in the first half, this past weekend. You know, so look, I'm not going to put Tyrod into the starting lineup quite yet when Daniel Jones get healthy. At the end of the day, 25 points over 2 weeks, that ain't really going to cut it. Right. You know, and the offense in general, they have to perform better no matter who's playing quarterback. They're not putting out points. Scoring 9 points when the other team only had 14 points in the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. Like, you should win a game when you hold a team to 14 points, right? And defensively, you know, the Giants are playing lights out. You know, a few weeks ago we spoke about, you know, them, I think, feeling a little bit overconfident, you know, because they had some takeaways against Miami, but they gave up 525 yards. But finally they put it together, and they did do enough to win the game last week. And, you know, they won the game defensively because a 14-point output on offense, like I said, the Giants didn't do that against the Bills. They couldn't overcome a 14-point output from the Bills the week before, and they found a way to get it done by only scoring 14 points. That's all attributed to the defense, you know, and the defense is playing lights out. That's what Daniel Jones hasn't had. He hasn't had a dominant game from the defense. And as much as I love Tyrod, I think he throws a deep ball, I think, a lot better than Daniel Jones. A lot of their play is very similar. I think Tyrod is he watched Daniel Jones. He watched him struggle for 6 weeks or whatever the case was. And I think when he got in the game, he made his mind up that he was going to get the ball out quick. He was going to be in rhythm. He was going to, you know, do things very decisively, not hold the ball in his hands. And I think you saw, you know, him getting the ball down the field and him getting that ball out. You saw the offense actually clicking and actually looking explosive the last 2 weeks. But then also, Saquon Barkley's healthy. So there's a lot of things that's going for Tyrod right now. And Daniel Jones, when he comes back, he will be starting. The controversy will come if Daniel Jones starts and he doesn't play well. Right. That's when the controversy comes. And I think that's a necessary controversy. Because if you got a guy playing very good football at the quarterback position, and then your starter who has been sacked a numerous amount of times this year, when I say numerous, what is he, 30-something sacks on the year?
Yeah.
And has taken a pretty serious injury, with the neck injury being out for at least 2 weeks, then you have to question, okay, maybe we put him on the shelf and maybe we keep the hotter hand rolling, right? It's not about taking his job or anything like that, but it's like, hey, the guy's playing some good football. He's won a game. He makes his offense look explosive. The defense is kind of playing complementary football with the offense now, and that's something we really haven't seen. And I think that's when it becomes a controversy, and I think rightfully so if that happens. Now, if Daniel Jones comes back and plays well, all is good. Now, let's see if we can sneak into the wild card. Right, guys?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you said a lot in that, and there's a lot of topics that we can definitely get into, but you're absolutely right. A tip of the cap to Tyrod, right? He came in and he did what he was supposed to do, right? He is our second stringer. He's our backup quarterback. And when your main guy gets hurt,
in the league,
that's what I'm talking about. So we are in an advantageous position because our backup is so good. But as the backup quarterback, your role is to come in, fill in the shoes of your starting quarterback, and do what you can to try and get some wins, right? And that's exactly what he did. The games are similar, but I did notice some differences. We're throwing the ball down the field a little bit more. I think he is a little bit more prone to let those fly than Daniel has been, understandably so, given the line that he's been behind. But it's not quite got the same zip. It's more of a finesse throw down the field, but that's perfect for a guy like Jalen Hyatt, who you could just throw the ball up and he'd go run and get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there are a number of reasons why I think that was working. You're absolutely right. The defense has really come together. I think we have something with Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden.
I was going to bring that up in a few minutes. Yep.
I think, it's a little bit deceptive because at the end of the day, we're not talking about a strong front four for the Commanders, right? Their offensive line is almost as bad, if not worse, than what we put out. And so, I guess I wasn't super surprised to see the number of sacks that we had, but I was still very happy to see 6 sacks, right? We had 5 the first 7 games or 6 game, whatever it was, and we had 6 in one game, right? So I don't know that we can get super high on where we are right now and thinking that we're all of that. We did play defensively. We played a solid game against a team that, isn't super awesome offensively, right? So I think we still have to be a little bit humble when we go into the next few games. We got the Jets coming up, who have a pretty good defense, right? Maybe not as good of an offense. So I think our defense does have a chance to shine against the Jets. We'll get there. But the offense is going to have struggles again. I think the one thing you mentioned, JC, the one thing that Tyrod had that Daniel didn't have was a solid defense. He also had, I won't say solid, he had competent line play this past game. His line did hold up. And I will say, I was not so hot on him for the previous 4 or 5 games, but Mark Lewinsky has come to play the last 2 games. He's had 79 pass plays. He's let up 1 pressure, and that's it. No sacks. So he came to play. I think Bredesen is doing as well as he can as the center. And I got to say, I really think the addition of Justin Pugh has brought some stability to this line because dude's out of position. Not only did he come off the couch, right, literally right off the couch, but he's actually doing okay as the left tackle, and he's providing some stability to that line. So I think when we do get some guys back, maybe this week we get Andrew Thomas back, maybe this week we get JMS back. I think all of those things are going to help because Pugh can then move back into his guard role and be better in that position. We'll have a better left tackle. We'll have a better center. Bredesen can move back over, or Lewinsky can stay in. And then the only position that we're really worrying about is right tackle.
And I just want to throw something out there with Pugh. I was talking with him after the game, and one of the things he said is he's an over-communicator to the point that it might even drive some guys crazy. There's nothing wrong with being an over-communicator on the football field. And his addition on that offensive line has really changed things. And I think, again, you guys are 100% right. Again, we have to look at what we're getting excited about here. Washington is not what we like to call a juggernaut in the NFL. We're talking about Sam Howell, but you look at what they did the previous week against Josh Allen.
Yep.
And to me, that says a lot more. And there, yes, we didn't get to do a show last week, but we didn't talk about the miscommunications there were between all those what happened on the field at the end of the first half and it happened at the end of the game. I'll say it now. I think when you have Saquon Barkley and you're on the 1 yard line at the end of that Buffalo game, you give it to Saquon and you say go left, go right, but just go, big man, just go,
go.
And to me, that was an opportunity that was squandered. But you look, sometimes you play the games that are on your schedule, and a win is a win in the NFL. You have to just take that and build off of that. And I think that to me was the most important takeaway was they got a win. It's something they can all feel good about and take with them going into next week, for this upcoming week against the Jets. Look, everyone says it. Everyone's like, well, there's not really a rivalry. It's more between the fans than it is the players. But when you're sharing a building with someone, the Lakers and the Clippers, have that little ongoing rivalry. The Knicks and the Nets have it for the Battle of New York. The Rangers and Devils and Islanders, you can talk about that. There's a little something extra with this. And I'm sure the last couple of games, the Jets have beaten the Giants the last 2 regular season games they played against each other. So, this is a big deal for the Giants. And you know what? I'm sure that Dable wants to pound his chest a little bit more against Salah and vice versa. Yeah. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. And also, guys, I have to bring up one other point from Sunday's game. We Kayvon Thibodeau has to learn how to catch a ball.
It's 2 times now.
It's 2 times now.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. I could have caught that ball. And I'm the most unathletic person in the world. I'm awkward watching, watching catch whether it's a baseball, a basketball, football. I could have caught that.
You can't catch a cold.
No, man. Well, true.
That was rough.
That was right. I'm at that. I got dad jokes.
Well, but can I tell you what my first thought was when I saw him not catch that ball? I'm like, oh my God, JC's gonna have a heart.
JC would have caught that ball.
JC would have caught that ball.
Let me tell you something about those footballs that hang in the air a little bit too long. Those are a lot more difficult to catch than those ones that kind of come fast at you. You know what I mean? They hang in the air, and you're sitting there thinking like, I'm gonna hit a spin move. I'm gonna catch it. I'm gonna do a touchdown dance, because you're thinking of all the things you could do, because it's an easy catch. Yeah. But that's why it becomes a hard catch, because you're not thinking about
the ball.
The difficulty. You're not actually thinking about watching the ball go into your hands, which you're supposed to do on every single time the ball is coming towards you, right? Whether you're on offense or defense. But you said something about the Bills game that I wanted to hit on. I think the blunder before, the halftime with them leaving with no points, which was, I was sitting there like, this is not good. And that ended up being the real pivotal point in the game, where in the second half, even if they would have just, had a field goal, that would have been a 2-point game, and it would have changed the way Buffalo's approach. And I think they would have probably pressed a little bit more than they did. You got to remember, their 2 touchdown scoring drives were very long, elaborate drives.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't Josh Allen pressing and trying to get that ball into Diggs, which I feel like that's what happens to him sometimes. And you could even see that, I think, last week when they lost to the Patriots, right?
Yep.
And the end call, the throw to Waller, I like the call. I thought they could have did different things, of course. I like the call. Of course, it was a hold. The referees, this is something that people have been speaking about a lot. The referees just, like in college, like the NFL, they're really bad. Like, they're consistently bad.
Yeah, basically and it's left, right, and center.
Like, guys, you got all the players are held accountable, right? And they're viable for critique, right? But the players can't say anything about the referees. The coaches can't say anything about the referees. We can, because they're not going to fine us, but they need to put these guys on full-time payroll, let these guys make it a full-time job, because it's costing games, it's costing teams playoff berths. How long has it gone where the referees had blundered calls in critical situations in games,
deciding games
that decides games? And it's oh, you don't want to put it on a referee, but it's of course you got to say that to your players. But as outsiders, he held them the whole play.
Yeah, for sure.
Bro, what are we talking about here?
Waller
would have definitely caught that ball, and if he didn't, all the blame goes on Waller, rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? This is something that I think the NFL has to address, because I think it's ruining the beautiful game that we love so much, played by very talented players, very smart, very diligent coaches that are involved, very high-level training staffs. But bro, what's up with the referees, guys?
And there's a difference between over-officiating and getting it right. Right? I mean, there's a difference between, just calling a flag on everything. Because, it was famously said that on any play in the NFL, you can call a hold. right? And I think a lot of times at the ends of games, refs have the tendency to just keep it in their pockets and let the teams decide the game. But when you miss a call like that, when you don't give the right call, and when you can't challenge a missed call, right, it makes it so that bad calls do decide the outcome of games.
Sucks, bro. Sucks.
And not only that too, but again, Dable has done a very, very good job. Dable's obviously been a little bit more irritable this year than he was last year.
Yeah. He's the answer's always been short, but they're a lot shorter this year. Man.
I love listening to some of these transcripts and of course Monday's Zoom call, and a lot of one-word answers.
Yep.
Yeah. And I started getting the Joe Judge answer on a couple of post games where he's like, I have to go back and look at the tape. Yeah, I have to go back. That's still my favorite answer. Is I got to go back and look at the tape. Yeah. Guys, I got to ask the question with the Jets coming up this week, and you have guys getting back onto the practice field. Andrew Thomas is back on the field. We'll know more about Daniel tomorrow. I think that's where we've left it with them.
Daniel was a partial participant today, though, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he and JMS were at least partial participants, right?
Yeah, it's a little interesting now to see where all this is going to go with the quarterback. But I got to bring up something that drove everybody crazy. I am pretty sure it drove JC crazy on Sunday too. Was the kick return situation?
Punt return.
Punt return specifically.
Punt return. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, punt return situation. Yeah, I got to tell you something. You want to talk about a guy who bolted out of that locker room quicker before, but like we're sitting there waiting to go in, and like he was a little Speedy Gonzalez with his legs. That was Sterling Shepard. Yeah. I haven't seen him move that quick in a long time.
I think he's put in an unfair position.
Yeah, he should have never been back there.
That part of it, I agree with you.
Let's be real about this. That's not his position. How many times have we actually seen him return kicks in that stadium or in any stadium besides the practice facility, right?
Yeah, never.
And let me tell you something, too. First of all, the wind was a factor, right?
Mm-hmm. We saw that with
1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. The sun is almost above you, if not a little bit lower. There was definitely some vision problems. And look, I'm not defending him. He should have caught the ball. But like he was put in an unfair position. He's thrusted into, to be a returner because the young kid why are we don't a kick returner that's a rookie anyway? A punt returner that's a rookie anyway.
And why don't we have a backup? Why don't we have
Gary Brentwell got hurt also.
Oh, is that what it was?
Okay. So both.
I mean, it made me think that everybody that we were looking at, we got rid of in training camp, right?
But then you watch on the Commanders, they have the return that the Giants should have kept. Yeah. Jamison Crowder.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked like he wanted to, like he looked like he was going to score every time he got the ball.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We just signed the kid from was it Pittsburgh? I can't remember. It was
Jay Sean Corbin they just signed. Which
they did. He's had
a good preseason this year.
There's another receiver that they signed off of somebody's practice squad. I think it was from Pittsburgh. He's a return specialist, right? He was a receiver. It was a Polish last name. This is going to make me crazy. But anyway, they're doing what they can. I mean, the one thing that I'll say is that even though they got rid of a lot of guys and they thought that Gray was going to be the guy, I haven't been super impressed with him all season anyway. Brightwell has shown flashes, but with both of them hurt and now Gray on IR, they needed to bring other guys in. So they brought a couple of folks in. I think we're going to be in better position as we move forward. We'll get into this when we start talking about it, but I think we've got a little bit of momentum going here. And JC, to your point, that you've made a number of times on the pod is that, this game is all about momentum. We lost a tremendous amount of momentum at the beginning of the season, and we haven't gotten it back yet. Right. And now the last 2 or 3 games, I'm starting to see there are certain elements of the game, not all of it at the same time, but certain elements of the game that are starting to fall into place. The defense is starting to click. We're not seeing as many mistakes on special teams. The offensive line is starting to gel a little bit, right? And if we're able to carry that momentum into the next series of games, we've got a few coming up that I think might actually be winnable.
Yeah, and JC, Ryan and I were talking about this off camera. You look at what they have. A win this weekend puts the Giants at 3-5 with the Vegas game next week. Mm-hmm. That will put you at 4 and 5. If you're going in, you're 4 and 5. Ryan and I don't want to say joked about it, but you looked at it. If you look at the schedule and you say these 3 games could be L's, you have the Dallas, and then you have the 2 games against the Eagles.
Yep.
And then you look at the Rams game as a hit or miss. Everything else is winnable, and even that Rams game might be winnable because it's not like it all comes down to if the Giants can get their offense clicking, their defense can still playing at the level that they're playing at right now, and the special teams cleans up and works on those details. Because right now the details with the special teams, they're giving up too much. Since we end the season, the special teams. I love T-Mac, but T-Mac has been his boys have been awful.
It's been rough.
The last couple of years, they've been a liability. Let's be real about this, right?
Yeah.
Last year we saw offense look brilliant at times. We saw the defense look brilliant at times. The special teams was consistently a blunder. And you have a punter that's averaging a very decent average, and you have a kicker. Last year he was fantastic. Gano was struggling this year.
Yeah, he is not having a good season
now. Is that 4 on the year?
That's actually right on the money. 4 kicks so far this season.
He missed 4 kicks. One was blocked, right? He had 1 blocked, so he missed 3 kicks. And the special teams, those were like the reliable guys, right? I think the punter, he can boot that ball. You know, we saw him kick the ball
hammer
like 80 yards in preseason, which ended up being not a good kick because they ended up returning it against them. But I think his average is over 50 yards, if not high 40s. Yeah. And he's punting the ball, I think, very well.
He's got more accuracy this year, too.
Yep. Gano's going to get back on track. He's not going to be missing these field goals. It was an east to west wind last week. It was definitely a windy day. But besides that, like, I feel like every time somebody actually returns, the ball on us, it goes a little bit further than you would want to.
Yep.
I think the blunders of catching the football, I mean, get a freaking returner, guys. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm looking for this guy. I'm on my phone right here. I'm looking down because I'm still trying to find this fucking guy's name. Sorry, excuse my French.
But, like, for real, let's get a returner. I hate that Sterling was in that position.
Yep.
Because that mentally messes with you. Now, how are you going to contribute to the offense? And Sterling was a very happy-go-lucky guy. But when you make a huge mistake like that, and it's not like I'm going to get it back, you're not getting it back.
Yep.
You're not.
Yep.
They took you out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he got very limited reps on offense. They're not really targeting him much. So I felt like he was in a real tough situation. So he got out of there because even though he was definitely happy that they won, I know he was very disappointed in himself. Mm-hmm. And there was no way throughout the game that he could have corrected that. Yep. He could not amend what had happened. And I've been there before. I've been there where I made a mistake and possibly didn't get another play or two or whatever the case was. And you know what? Matter of fact, it was the Patriots game in
2005,
17.
I'm sorry,
15.
2015. I'm sorry.
And it was a 4th and like 15, 16. And man, Tom Brady threw the ball right in front of me for like a 16-yard gain on 4th and 15. And I tackled Amendola. And I could have, if I would have just been right there, a step closer, I would have been able to break the pass up, but I was a little too high. They ended up scoring. And I just felt so horrible. Like, I felt so terrible. And, like, of course, there was other plays, but, like, I felt like I lost the game. I was like, I lost the game. Yep. I lost the game. There was other plays after that.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, I don't think that you lost the game because Landon catches that interception.
But you know what I'm saying, though.
That's how guys put it on your own shoulders. I mean, it's a group of prideful men. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, you're there. You know that you are. You're there because you're good at this game. And when you let yourself down like that, when you let your team down like that, it really is devastating. So the only thing for him to do is hopefully this coming week to get off the schneid a little bit and make some positive plays to help us beat the Jets. Right. Yeah. I mean, like you said, JC, the only way to what is it? What's the old adage? The only way to get over a break is to get over a breakup is to get on top of another one, something like that.
I don't know, but I like that.
I now picture JC going over. Listen, Ryan said this was okay. So it must be okay because my co-host said it was okay. So I also want to keep things in perspective of, hey, this was Sam Howell as the quarterback this past week.
Senor Sack-a-lot.
Yeah, exactly. I looked at this game this past week of like, thank God they got this win because it stopped the bleeding a little bit.
This is our get right game, right?
Yeah.
This is our get right game.
But this week presents a huge challenge because this defense for the New York Jets, man, they're serious. You know, they have an all-pro corner. DJ Reed is very good as well. I think they have a top 5 middle linebacker, Mosley. Their defensive line, they have like 7 or 8 guys that are just dogs all over. And then offensively, I feel like Wilson has gotten to the mode of like a manager, don't lose the game, give the ball to probably the best second year back in the league in Breece Hall. And, you know, let's just be physical and let our defense kind of, you know, guide us through, you know, for these 3.5 hours. And they are playing complimentary football over there for the Jets. You know, they're not doing too much offensively, but when their defense is playing the way they are, when their defense is hitting and flying around the way that they are, you know, you don't have to do as much offensively. And I just hope that defensively for the New York Giants, that they can match up not with their offense, but with their defense is putting out.
Yeah.
Because we saw a few weeks ago when the Giants played Seattle, when they sacked Daniel Jones, was it 10 times? And they had 11 sacks on the day. And they've created 3 turnovers, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right.
And was it 1 turnover? Was it 1 turnover and the Giants had 3? Whatever the case was, the Giants didn't match that output defensively. So they said they did enough to win the game. They didn't. Seattle's team did. This is the same type of situation I'm thinking about. If the Jets go ahead and force 2 turnovers and score on defense and limit them to like 250 total yards, the Giants have to do something very similar on defense because you expect the Jets to have a great defensive performance. They're on the road, but they're at home. It's weird, right? It's a weird deal. They're going to the same place, the same locker room, right? They're going. Hold on. Do they go to the visitor
locker room? Sure.
No,
they don't use their locker room.
No, they do. They do use their locker room.
Okay,
so
they use their locker room, but they're on the other side of the field, right? The other side of the field, same locker room, other side of the field, same drive to work. Like everything's the same, but then when you get there, you're actually the visiting team. Everything's blue, nothing's green. You know, besides the field. You know, but they're gonna want to own that stadium. This is for sure. It's the fight over MetLife, like you were saying, Randy. This is who owns MetLife. 2 teams that's been talked about negatively in basically most of the season. And then Giants last week, positive talk. The Jets the last few weeks, some positive talk. So who's going to be able to get out this weekend with having that positive streak going? I'll take a 1 game to be a 1-game win streak. You know what I'm saying? It could be a start to a 2-game win streak. You know, but who's going to be the guys that win the game and dominate? Because it's going to be a defensive game. It's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a low-scoring game. Who defense shows up, which defense is more dominant, and that's how this game is going to be decided.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I love the phrase I've heard all last season. I've heard it for the first time this week, is that they won the week. And I haven't heard that all season long up until this past week. And Bobby Okereke made a very interesting comment, too, about the Jets. He said, this is 2 teams right now who have a lot to prove. The Jets right now have to try to keep up with Miami and Buffalo. They're trying to keep up with them. The Giants are trying to right the ship. If you really look at their schedule the rest of the way, it lightens up a little bit because you got a lot of the heavy hitters out of the way, but you still have heavy hitters to come. Philadelphia is not going to be a pushover. Dallas is not going to be a pushover. We don't know what the Rams are yet still at this point in the time. You know what the Patriots are. The Packers is not going to be a walkover game. I don't think the Raiders are going to be a walkover game if Garoppolo is playing. You know, you have to. No, there's no walkover games this year. There's no games. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, I was just gonna say we can talk until we're blue in the face about what we think is going to happen, what's a winnable game, and all of this kind of stuff. But it really is going to depend week on week, game by game, how people are playing, who's there, who's hurt, how are they doing when they're in. All of that is going to determine week by week what the schedule is going to end up being. And this one coming up, one of the things that's got me smiling tonight is that we've got two teams that in essence have exactly the same game plan or the hope, right? That they've got defenses that are playing well and offenses that aren't playing well. And so both of us are hoping that our defenses are going to be able to win out on the game and hope for the best on offense, right? I mean, whether it's Kyle Wilson or if it's Tyrod or if it's Daniel or whoever it's going to be, there are issues on both sides, right? And so I just think it's funny that both New York teams are coming in very similar situations, hoping for the same exact thing in the game that we're going to see on Sunday.
I heard JC might be playing quarterback this week.
Yeah, that'd be great. We got a shot.
Let me tell you my experience at quarterback, right?
Story time.
Going into my senior year, right, in high school, my high school coach said, he said, Jay, they call me Jay. Jay, can you throw? I was like, yeah, maybe I could throw a little bit, right? He's like, all right, stay after practice, right? He took me outside. I threw the ball one time. He said, okay, that's all I need to say.
He said, defense, JC. Yeah. Jay, defense.
Tight end,
Yeah.
linebacker. Don't worry about quarterback. We'll figure that out.
We'll figure that one out. Yeah. It's going to be somebody else. Yeah.
You stay over here, look pretty, and catch that football, my friend. You don't have to worry about throwing a thing. That's what you're doing.
My God.
You guys listen to You guys are watching the Big Blue Report here from backsportspage.com. Jonathan Casillas, Ryan Darlington. I'm Randy Zellea. Guys, let's do our predictions.
We got back with the predictions.
Yeah, we get to go predictions.
Took a 1 week hiatus.
Yes, we took a 2 week hiatus from the predictions. 1 week. So let's do it. We're gonna start. I'll start it off this week. Look, this is the Jets. This is gonna be a tough game. Salah's team has always been a very good defensive team. The Jets have always been known as being the team with the quarterback away, and they finally get the quarterback, and he blows out his Achilles the first play of the year. 4 plays of the year. But you know what? Zach Wilson has done a great job, like JC said earlier, of game managing this team, and he's been actually very fun to watch. And it seems like he's finally getting it. Over the last couple of years, he's taken a lot of criticism from not only the media but from his own teammates, and he looks like he finally got it. And having a guy like Aaron Rodgers showing him the way was probably the right tool for him to have. So they're looking very good. Look, the Giants are coming off a good positive win, something that they needed. It wasn't pretty. It was certainly ugly. But there's one thing that I really enjoy about Tyrod. I'm sorry I'm veering off a little bit. The one thing that I've noticed about Tyrod as a quarterback, and I've said this to Ryan in the past and JC, I'm sure this is not the first time you either noticed it or heard it. Daniel sometimes has a little bit of happy feet and doesn't take off right away if there's nothing going. Tyrod looks left, looks right, and was able to read it, and then he pushes forward to try to get some positive yardage. Even if it's 2 yards, he's getting positive yardage. And it's the one difference between the two that I've noticed.
A lot of differences, but that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's one thing that I've really, really noticed. And it just seems like there's a different feel with him out there. I'm assuming that he's going to be out there this week. I think this might be, I don't want to say it's going to be a shootout because I think it's going to be a defensive battle. Because I'm just not buying into the Giants just yet that this is a full turnaround. I'm keeping in mind that this was Washington that we beat. I'm going to go 24-14 Jets.
Ooh. 24-14 Jets. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll go. So, like we said, I think the Giants will be able to keep up what they're doing defensively. I think when you have a team coming in like the Jets will be coming in, and they're known for their defense, and everybody's been talking about their defense, right? Right. Last week, going into the game, when you looked at the Commanders, what was their strength? Their defensive linemen, right? Yep. Who had a breakout game this past weekend? Dexter Lawrence. Mm-hmm. I've been calling it for a while. When the other team has guys at your position that's being talked about, and you're not being talked about as much as you normally are talked about. You play a little bit different. You might sleep a little bit longer that week. You might hydrate a little bit more. You might stay after practice a little bit more. I expect this defense to play lights out again like they did last week. And I don't think the Jets are going to take a back seat to them either. I think there's going to be a very low-scoring game. If there's a defensive touchdown, which they might be, I think that's the only way they break 20, either team, right?
Okay.
I'm going to go because I'm betting against a defensive touchdown. Hopefully it's a Giants defensive touchdown, and that puts the Giants at 17-14. 17-14, I think possibly a couple of times that they might figure something out, the Jets, and getting to a scoring position. It might be all field goals and maybe a 2-point conversion. We'll see. But I think if the Giants can continue to play defensively like the way they have, and they matching the Jets defense, and you look at the offense, I think Tyrod outplays Wilson. Tyrod's not going to turn the ball over. I think Saquon is just as good, if not better, than Breece Hall. And when I'm looking at it like that, I think I slightly give the edge to the Giants, but they have to play better offensively than they have all season long, even last week. The first half looked good, but the second half,
dismal.
Again,
Yeah.
they have to play 4 quarters of football.
Yep.
That's the only way that my prediction will come out true. If not, it'll be more what you said, Randy. If they only play a half of football, the Jets will score points. They might score defensively, and it will be something like 24-14.
JC and I are on very, very similar wavelengths. We are of one mind tonight, brother.
Like that.
But I'm actually banking on a little bit more offensive production from our side. I think Tyrod does start. I think we do have a little bit more of an effective line play. I think that does continue into this game, but I don't think that translates into a number of touchdowns against this Jets defense. I think it's going to be a field goal fest, quite frankly. And literally the number that I was thinking in my head was 16-13 Giants, because I think we're going to be able to move the ball, but I don't know that we're going to be able to get into the end zone as often as we think we might. So I think it's going to be the same thing on the other side of the ball. I think our defense is going to show out again, and it's going to hold them to a touchdown and a couple of field goals. But I'm thinking 16-13 Giants.
I got a trivia question real quick.
Oh, let's do it.
It's about last week.
Oh, well, then maybe I don't want
punts was in the game last week.
Too many.
82.
18 punts.
Oh, wow.
18, Randy.
Oh, my God.
It was probably like 14 3 and outs. It was insane. It was insane.
Oh, man. They were, what were they, 1 of 15? The Commanders were 1 of 15
like
on
that.
theyird down?
Yep.
Yeah.
Woof.
It was.
Bad,
I was sitting next to a lot of the Commanders writers, and I'm like, did they put you through this every single week? They're like, some of the guys are like, we sometimes keep bottles in our bag. That's how bad it gets.
Sounds right.
Speaking of trivia.
Oh, yeah, we got a good one.
We have a good one this week.
Uh-oh.
It's a tough one.
Uh-oh. Hold on, wait. Before you go, this is some comedy here. I want to read the play-by-play, which is really drive-by-drive. I'm going to read it off.
Oh, Lord.
I want you to hear how it sounds, right? Listen to this.
Screen draw, screen punt.
Listen to this. No. This is play. So drive-by-drive, not play-by-play.
Oh, okay.
Right? Punt, missed field goal, punt, touchdown, punt, interception, touchdown, punt, end of half, punt, touchdown, punt, missed field goal, fumble, downs, end of game. That's so terrible.
That's the toilet bowl. Oh my God.
JC, you're familiar with basketball, and there's a drill called the 3-on-2, 2-on-1 fast break drill. And my seventh graders who I was coaching were doing the drill, and I think we went 12 straight trips down the floor without scoring a basket. And similar to what you just said, I looked at the other coach. I said, this is not what Dr. Naismith had in mind when he invented the game.
He invented the game.
Yeah. So I think when they made the game of football, this is not what they had in mind.
I'm glad we got a good punter, but Jesus Christ, guys, come on.
It's bad, bro.
Got to earn your
Bro,
money.
I'm looking at it right now again. The Commanders had one drive that equaled more than 22 yards.
Oh, my God. Wow.
One drive.
I guarantee you, until we see the Commanders again, I don't know if you're going to have any more games where your opponent does that. Okay?
Yeah,
no. That's not going to happen. But I'll tell you what, though. Look, Sam Howell, he's not terrible.
No.
He can make some good throws. He just holds the ball way too long. And he throws. That's a recipe for sacks, guys.
I just want to let you know, I don't want to say he held the ball too long. I was able to go get a bag of chips and came back. He was still holding the ball.
Yeah.
So those Mrs. Fields cookies were really good. I had to go twice. He still had the ball. In the same
I had Paul Latino grab me a cookie right before
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, I got to tell you, Paul makes it over there. It's like the little, like the little person looking over the fence or over the bushes with something. Yeah, Paul's sitting there going, all right, cookies are out there. I'll be right back, boys.
I'm missing out. I'm missing out missing these games.
Listen, you're not just me. You're not missing too much. So, with that being said, this week's trivia question, JC, is brought to you by our good friends at
Food Expressions. We are on Kennedy Boulevard in Jersey City. All right. We're going to be in Jersey City on Saturday. There's a kids event. I forgot the name of it, of course, and I can't do it because I'm using my phone, so I can't even look it up while I'm talking. So find us on Instagram, Food Expressions. We will be posting. Got the best jerk chicken in town.
Awesome. All right. So here's a little fun trivia and a little fun fact. There has been 28 players who have played for both the Giants and the Jets.
Name them all.
No. Can you name me 4 of them?
4 players that have. Okay, so can this be like a collaborative effort between myself and Mr. Casillas, or do we have to?
You know what? I'm in a good mood. We came off a win last week. I don't know when the next one of those is coming, so I can say yes.
Okay. All right. Jets and Giants. So
Damon Snacks Harrison. Boom.
That's 1.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's 1.
That's a good one. Gino.
2.
Ooh.
Let's see. We're gonna say there was
You're missing an obvious one, which is driving me banana right now.
Who did we get from the Jets? It wasn't Nacho. He wasn't on the Jets. It's somebody obvious. Tyrod? No. Yeah, he was with the Bills.
Oh my God, if you guys don't, if you guys get him, and you don't get him, I swear to God, I'm going to bang my head against the wall.
Well, hey, listen, we're stumped
currently on a roster now.
We're stumped at, we're stumped at 2.
Stumped at 2 so bad as a collaborative effort.
Ain't nobody winning this week. Were they drafted by the Jets and we got them after that?
Yes. Yes.
He's on the defensive line.
Is he on the defensive line?
Yes.
Okay. Leonard Williams?
Yes.
Leonard Williams.
Wow. I almost had a heart attack. That
was horrible, Brian.
That was like 20. I know, man. I know. Hanging my head in shame. Give me one more, Randy. Who else we got? Who else are we missing? Don't give me all 28. Give me like 3 more.
I'll give you 3 more.
Yeah.
1, Plaxico Burress.
Yeah, okay. Forgot about him.
I don't remember him playing for the Jets.
Yeah, no, I just remember him playing for the Steelers.
He played for Rex Ryan's team with Mark Sanchez.
The Sanchez. Got it.
JC, I'm shocked because you played with him. You did not mention Brandon Marshall.
B. Marshall. But I played with half the guys probably on a dang list.
They were on the offense, so he didn't talk to those two.
He was on the other side of the room.
First, I was done after that.
Yeah, I was done after that. That's it.
JC went, snacks, done.
Yeah, that's it.
Help me out, Ryan. Help me out.
I got one. We each got one. That's a win. We're taking a win.
Yeah, he's got 1 point each on that.
That's fine. We're good.
Jay Feely.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be an easy one, boys. I apologize.
Hey, no, that was fun.
Name them off. I want to hear the name. Name them off.
Okay, so we also have. So yeah, Plaxico Burris, Kareem McKenzie, Dave Meggett.
Wow. Yeah.
Dave Jennings,
Mm-hmm.
Pepper Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my Lord, JC, how did we not get this one? Steve Weatherford.
Okay.
That was a good one too. That was a good one too. I'm gonna give you guys two more.
Y'all played with like 6 of them.
Don Maynard.
Oh my gosh.
And
So
the
bad.
father of Mr. Diassi, Steve Diassi.
Steve
How about
Yassi.
that?
So,
Okay.
there you go. Good. Good.
That's good
Another
fun.
good question. That was another
That's
good
good fun.
question this week.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
We each
Can
got
you
one.
make
I'm
me
taking
feel
a win.
better? Can you give us a layup?
Yeah, sure. Who was the defensive captain during the 2017 season?
Hold on, wait. I was playing.
Wait. And you played with the guy. And a hint, it wasn't me. It was
Or me.
right.
So, guys, this was a fun episode. Let's hope another win this week.
Yep.
And we can come back next week and we can have just as much fun because when we do these
Love
shows when they're losing, we all feel very sad. We all feel very sad when that
And
happens.
Ryan, you see what Randy did, right?
What did he do?
He picked against the Giants. That means he wants the Giants to win. I
That's
like
true.
it,
That's
Randy.
true. That's true.
There's a
Solid
method-
work.
There's a method behind my madness, boys.
I
got
like
the bad luck guy is back. So I want to
I
make
like
sure.
it,
listen.
bro.
Listen, I'll buy some black cats. We'll walk them right past you. We're good.
I thought I saw one walk behind before during the show.
We'll have them break some windows or break the mirrors. That's fine. We're good.
Oh, that usually
under
happens
some
when I
ladders.
look at it.
Why not?
That usually happens when I look in a mirror anyway. All right. So for Jonathan Casillas, Ryan Darlington, I'm Randy Zellea. Thank you guys for checking out the Big Blue Report. Big things
Here,
coming. Keep hanging with us, and we'll see you next time.